Hey guys, what is up? Stacked and Jacked. We are back.
Been a while.
It has been a while, but
We're
we're back.
we're back. We're overdue, and we have some exciting stuff to talk about. And something I've been posting on my social media about, Court's been posting on her social media. We're going to be talking about peptide therapies.
Yes, we're super excited because this is becoming more popular in bodybuilding. It's just to be clear, this is not medical advice. These are not professional recommendations. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
Yes. So we're going to be starting out today with kind of a brief overview on what peptide therapies are, how they can be beneficial in daily life, but especially as it comes to, bodybuilding, fitness, nutrition, and we're going to be breaking it down into four subcategories, and those are going to be fat loss peptides, growth hormone releasing peptides or GHRPs, nootropics, and then sexual health.
Yes, all bases are covered here, you guys, don't worry. So basically what peptides are is they're chains of amino acids. Simply put, they are being sold as research chemicals, sometimes being prescribed by doctors for different things related to health and wellness, like Sam just described those categories. And so what we want to focus on today is going to be fat loss peptides because we figured that was going to be what people were the most interested in, and people are getting really good results with some of these.
Definitely getting some awesome results. And it's something like I know I do a lot of research on it. We talk about it a lot. And I always like to maybe experiment on myself a little bit when I hear new things coming out. I'm like, oh, how can this be helpful? Or how is this something that could benefit what I'm doing in my improvement season or contest prep, so on and so forth. So I do think that fat lyse peptides are going to be something exciting to talk about because they obviously have benefits for helping to reduce your body fats, but also improving metabolic health, increasing metabolism, and can decrease the signs of metabolic disease.
Yes. And some of these are being researched for their treatment in obesity. Like we can start with kind of the banger, I feel like that a lot of people in the fitness industry are talking about, which is going to be, we call it Sloop, but it has a funny name. It sounds like something from Star Wars, but it's like SLUPP332.
It does sound like Star Wars.
It does.
I'm into
It
that.
sounds like DD whatever and all the little letters and number combinations. So that one's an exercise mimetic. So anytime that we're talking about substances like this, I think it's important to talk about the mechanism by which they work. And exercise mimetic is exactly what it sounds like. It works on a cellular level and it basically mimics the effects of exercise without actually doing the exercise. With that being said, that doesn't mean that we don't actually want you to do no exercise. This is being used in contest preps for transformations, just for fat loss. Like I said, it's being experimented with for its treatment in obesity. So when you combine something like that, is responsible for mitochondrial biogenesis, otherwise known as creating more mitochondria. If you guys have ever been to high school, it's the powerhouse of the cell. But that's a big piece of what controls your metabolism. So if we have more mitochondria and we're working harder, and especially too when you're training and doing cardio, it can help a lot with raising your energy expenditure.
Yeah, so we can say it also increases your fat oxidation by means of that respiration rates. For most of these things, we see like little to no side effects. And not to say that there's going to be none, because of course every body is different. Everyone's going to react to things differently. But in a lot of things, like when we think about peptides like Ozempic, Wegovy, we know that there are some long-term effects of those. So when it comes to these type of fat loss peptides, that you are going to see minimal side effects. Plus, it's not going to disrupt your endocrine system or your body's hormone production.
Yeah, so that's one that I've seen really, really positive results with. I've heard some other, big name coaches talk about it in bodybuilding and their application with it in contest prep. But I mean, regardless of whether you're in contest prep, you're just looking for a fat loss transformation, reducing visceral fat, body fat, whatever. Very, very effective for that.
Next one, we were going to talk about MOTS-c because I think that one is a little bit more common. I do see a lot of like HRT clinics prescribing something like MOTS-c. Again, like Courtney said, it is something that you can buy as a research chemical on the internet, but of course we don't advise that you do that. MOTS-c is something that's going to have an impact on your muscle metabolism, insulin sensitivity, and weight management. So it regulates the insulin sensitivity and metabolic homeostasis and can decrease fat, increase skeletal muscle, or be muscle sparing.
Yeah, and that one too is pretty active with the thermogenesis, so raising
Mhm.
body temperature. So when there's heat production in your body, that requires more calories to raise your temperature. That's how, even if we're talking about over-the-counter thermogenic fat burners, that's how those are working as well. Do you have anything else to tag onto that one?
I think, I mean, I don't think we want to go into all the like biomechanisms and
Yeah.
stuff, but I mean, ultimately, if this is something like with any of these that you are interested in, talk to your endocrinologist or someone who specializes in HRT. Not something that you're going to find with a primary care physician or general practitioner. Discuss it with your coach if they are knowledgeable, and do your own research is something I always recommend. Like anything that you are considering implementing into your protocol, make sure you know what you're getting into.
Our next one is going to be injectable L-carnitine. So I've done some videos before talking about L-carnitine. I like this one. So basically what L-carnitine is, it's like, I think of it as like a shuttle. So it helps you move fat across cell membranes and basically mobilize it for lipolysis, or otherwise using fat for energy. So the idea is your body actually produces carnitine endogenously, or you make it inside your body. So when we're injecting or supplementing more carnitine, you essentially have more shuttles to then mobilize body fat with. Because if you have more vessels to move it, you can theoretically burn more fat. And that's like the main idea around that one.
I'd like to
Mhm.
sidebar off of that and say that all peptide therapies are optimizing already endogenously occurring processes within your body. So these amino acid chains or these protein chains are already things that happen within your body. Now we're controlling these mechanisms or optimizing them through the incorporation of essentially as supplementation.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so with L-carnitine, it also does play a role in energy metabolism. When your body is using fat for energy, that's going to be energy metabolism. That's We're just using fat for that energy. I think that pretty much that's most of it with carnitine, right? Am I
That's most
missing
of it with the
anything?
carnitine, I think. I mean, again, I think pretty
It's
easy.
pretty straightforward,
And I think
guys.
carnitine is also something that most people are familiar with because you find it in pre-workouts. You can supplement it as a capsule or as a liquid. I think it's something most people are already pretty comfortable with. Now, maybe we want to say, like, give a little tail off there as to why it's more beneficial when it's injectable as opposed to oral.
That's a good point. Oral has a much lower bioavailability because it has to go through your whole digestive system.
Mhm.
So when you're injecting it, it's used a lot quicker and your body can use much more of it. It basically, like the hydrochloric acid and all your digestive stuff that's going on, there's very little that actually gets to do its job by the time it goes through that process.
Well, moving into the next one, AOD 9604. I don't think we actually have a straight name for this one yet. It is probably one of the newer peptide therapies. I've had a couple people ask me about it. I've done my own research on it. It is similar to, I mean, other fat loss peptides to include the L-carnitine in that it has an impact on your fat loss by inducing lipolysis, right? So again, using fat for energy. But there is not a lot of long-term research on it yet. So on paper, this looks like the perfect fat loss peptide. It's almost free of side effect. The most common thing that's seen with it in the research that's being done now is an increase in your blood glucose levels, which over time can lead to insulin issues or decreased insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance. And that's probably only for people who are abusing it. But at the same time, we don't know what happens in, 2, 3 years for someone who's been using AOD. So while it does look really good for lipolysis, while it does really help reduce body fats, we don't know what it looks like in a couple years because it is one of the newer peptides that has been FDA approved.
So when it comes to these peptides too, especially when we're talking about fat loss, when it comes to the timing of these, like I would say these are going to be the most effective when you're doing something like fasted cardio.
Mhm.
If you're doing it before fasted cardio, especially with something like carnitine where we're mobilizing fat for energy, we want more of the energy that we're using to complete that cardio to be coming from fat. So taking something before your fasted cardio is going to be ideal to really maximize those results. Our next peptide is going to be Lipo B.
This one I think is starting to pick up speed a little bit as well. These are lipotropic injections that commonly contain other vitamins and micronutrients, but most commonly is going to contain more vitamin B, more amino acids, more chromium, more carnitine, and all of these play an essential role in your body's in the process of converting food to energy.
And just so you guys know what lipotropic means, that is just substances that promote breakdown of fat during metabolism.
So this is another one where, again, on paper, looks really good. There is a little bit more research on the lipo-B, and I do actually have a couple of my male athletes using this one in kind of a cutting phase, not necessarily contest prep, and I've heard nothing but good things yet. But it's really, really helpful with the, like I was saying, the micronutrients, or the increase in the micronutrients in your B vitamins, chromium, and so much and so forth, because in the common American diet, we are really lacking in a lot of these micronutrients. So we can say that there is benefit just by increasing your vitamin intake.
So that kind of wraps up the fat loss peptides we want to go over. So of course, again, educational purposes only.
And entertainment.
And entertainment purposes. To kind of wrap this up, when, not assuming anybody's actually going to take any of these, but the fat loss goes in conjunction with your fat loss phase, right? Which is generally going to be somewhere between 8 and 12 weeks. So depending on the type of peptide you're taking is going to kind of depend on how long you're using it for. Also, like what doses that you're taking, which is why you should always use it under the supervision of a professional, because all those factors are going to come into play when you're deciding how you're actually going to deploy these, if you do choose to do that.
So in something like in the fat loss peptides, hypothetically speaking, could be used for a little bit longer. You can gradually increase the dosage of these as time goes on. They can be beneficial for, like Courtney said, both fat loss phase, contest prep, and transformation. Even a couple of them, there are benefits when we talk about blood glucose, is as it pertains to like pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes.
I hope you guys enjoyed that video on fat loss peptides. Be on the lookout for the next one, where we're going to be talking about growth hormone releasing peptides.
Bye.